Hey guys, Vegito here, and welcome back to the Potara Podcast. And today, we're starting up a brand new What If. And since we know so little about Izuku's canon dad, some friends and I thought it would be hilarious if we were to replace Hisashi with someone else. And who better for an April Fool's story than the Merc with a mouth, Deadpool? So, I welcome you to my first April Fool's What If. What if Deadpool was Deku's dad? Or as Wade would put it, what if Deadpool banged Deku's mom? Also, real quick before we get started, I should go ahead and clarify two things. The first is which version of Deadpool I'm using here. And for this story, I will be using the Ryan Reynolds movie Deadpool from the latest movie trilogy. Not X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool, because that version was just plain out awful. And the second thing I'll go ahead and address, just before we start, is that this is an April Fool's story. And due to the comedic nature of the holiday, and this being kind of a gag story, this lets us be a bit more loose with the lore and rules here. So you probably shouldn't take this story too seriously, since Deadpool hasn't been a serious character since the 90s. Now with that said, let's get this wacky story started. Our story begins around the time Izuku and Bakugo are 4, as the pair are at the playground with their mothers, and Izuku and Bakugo are playing on the jungle gym. And Bakugo ends up using his own explosion quirk as a way to show off his powerful quirk, which accidentally causes Izuku to fall off the monkey bars and break his arm, which Inko, Mitsuki, and Bakugo are worried about. But just as they're about to go check on Izuku, his arm somehow heals itself, as Bakugo asks, "You good, dude?" While Inko adds, "You really are your father's son." While Mitsuki just screams due to not being used to seeing the blood and gore of the arm, with the bone popping out. As Izuku gives his friend and their mothers a thumbs up with his newly healed arm, saying, "I'm okay." 6 months pass, and Izuku is currently watching TV, as he hears a scream coming from his parents' bedroom, deciding to go check it out, as he opens the door to see Wade pass out on the floor, with Inko trying to get Wade's pants back on for some reason, as Inko says to Izuku that she needs to take Wade to the doctor, and that he's going to stay the night with Mitsuki. Inko and Wade drop off Izuku at his friend's house, and head off to the hospital for their appointment. And when they arrive, they see the doctor has a rather worried look on his face, as he says, "Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, I went over Wade's test results, and I have some bad news. Mr. Wilson, you have cancer." Wade says that he stopped smoking when Inko told him that she was pregnant 4 years ago, but the doctor says, "It's not just in your lungs, it's also in your liver, brain, and prostate." Wade says that he thinks he can live without those, but Inko points out, "Wade, I am pretty sure you need all of those to function properly." The doctor adds that, "Luckily your regeneration quirk has been fighting against the cancer is pretty hard, so as long as you still have that, you should be able to live for a couple decades without treatment, though the rapidly dying and regrowing cells in your brain may cause you to go insane. It'll also make you a bit hard to look at." Inko asked how hard it'd be to look at her husband, as the doctor says it'd be like an avocado, and sex with an older, more disgusting avocado. Inko shudders at the thought, saying that maybe it'll grow on her eventually, but Wade says, "Like a tumor." During this, Mitsuki is making lunch for the two boys, and Izuku offers to train with Bakugo on their quirks. By having Bakugo use Izuku as a living training dummy, not only increase the power of Bakugo's explosions, but also increase the power of Izuku's healing factor. Izuku and Bakugo decide to go to the river where the Canon River incident takes place, as they can use the river in case Izuku catches fire from Bakugo's explosions, knowing that he can regenerate and that this can help strengthen his healing factor. And Izuku says, "Since my quirk works like my dad's, so long as you don't damage my brain, I should be fine, so try not to hit my head." Bakugo takes this in and starts firing off explosions left and right. with Izuku basically just being a living punching bag that occasionally hits back. After a while of doing this, Mitsuki calls the boys over for dinner, as she and Masaru see Izuku's burned shirt from all of Bakugo's explosions, with Masaru saying that Bakugo shouldn't hurt his friends. But Bakugo then says, it was Izuku's idea. Mitsuki then adds that she's glad that Inko packed extra clothes for Izuku. Time passes as we skip to Izuku's 8th birthday party, with Izuku opening up his presents from both his parents and the Bakugos, deciding to open up Mitsuki's first, as he finds a bunch of All Might merch from the Bakugos, since even if he has the Merc with a mouth for a dad, Izuku's still Izuku, and he's still gonna be an All Might super fan. Next is Inko's gift, with Izuku getting a pair of gun holsters, as Inko says that these should go rather nicely with the holsters, and pulls out a pair of Desert Eagle pistols, along with a pair of katanas. Wade hugs his wife with pride after seeing her gift for Izuku, as Mitsuki asks, Inko, did you seriously get Izuku real guns for his birthday? Inko says that Wade was going to, but he had a special surprise, so she decided to instead. Wade then adds, plus, I was going to teach him how to shoot eventually, so this was kind of inevitable. After this, Wade says, okay Izuku, I've got one more surprise for you. It's on the balcony. Wade opens the sliding glass door, as what looks to be a cross between a dog and a shark runs up and tackles Izuku. Mitsuki to ask where he even got that thing, with Wade saying, I saved him during a recent mission involving a criminal organization doing experiments on animals with quirks. Masaru ends up asking what even is he, as Wade says that he's a dog with a shark quirk. Inko asks where he's going to stay, with Wade saying that he's going to stay in Izuku's room, of course. Afterwards, Wade says to Inko that he's going to take Izuku out so he can teach him how to use his new tools, with Wade letting Izuku use him as target practice, taking off his shirt, so Inko only has to clean the bloodstains out of the shirt, rather than getting a whole new shirt. And Izuku asks, are you sure I should be using you for target practice, Dad? Wade then adds, just don't aim for the head, I might die, and don't aim for the groin. Your mother won't be happy about it. Izuku then cocks one of his Desert Eagles before opening fire on his dad, managing to fire a whole mag worth of rounds into him, before then putting the guns back in the holsters and pulling out his swords and charging at Wade, with Izuku managing to land a couple slashes on his dad before Inko calls him home for dinner, as Inko is somewhat relieved that she won't have to buy her husband a new shirt, since all she has to do is wash the bloodstains out of the one he's wearing. Inko then lights the candles on Izuku's All Might themed birthday cake, before letting the green-haired boy blow out his candles. 9 months pass from here, as we arrive at Bakugo's 9th birthday party, with Mitsuki, Masaru, and the Wilsons all celebrating with the explosive blonde, as Bakugo is opening up his presents, with him getting hero merch from his parents, as he wonders what Inko and Wade got him, with Mitsuki going to the bathroom as she lets out a scream, announcing that there's an alligator in the bathtub. Wade says that she found Bakugo's birthday presents, as Masaru asks in a rather concerned voice, you got our son an alligator? Wade says that it's just a baby, as Bakugo asks if he bites, with Wade saying, no more than Jeff does. Bakugo asks if he can keep him, with Mitsuki saying that he can if he can take care of him. Bakugo then says, I'll call him Loki, cause he's a smug little shit, with everyone present being shocked at what Bakugo said. From here, we skip to Izuku's first year of middle school, when he's 12 years old, as he hears a cry for help coming from an alley, with Izuku deciding to go check it out, as he sees 3 people courting a girl who looks to be around Izuku's age, with fair skin, inward tilting yellow eyes, with thin slit like irises, somewhat resembling those of a cat, and her wide mouth is also rather feline, as her canines are pointed and longer than the rest of her teeth, giving her a vampiric appearance. Izuku also notices that her hair is a pale ash blonde color, and is styled into 2 messy buns, with numerous wild strands sticking out, a straight fringe, and 2 chin-length side bangs framing her face. Izuku tells the 3 guys to leave the girl alone before picking up an improvised weapon in a lead pipe, before charging the 3 thugs, and after beating one of their faces in with an improvised weapon, the others run, not wanting to smoke. Izuku tosses his improvised weapon aside and runs over to check on the girl and asks if she's okay, as the girl starts crying simply just for Izuku asking that, since he sees someone who genuinely cares about her for the first time since she got her quirk, with Izuku trying to calm the girl down. After about a minute, Izuku manages to get the girl calmed down, saying, "Okay, now that you're calm, can you tell me your name?" The girl then introduces herself as Himiko Toga, as Himiko sees the blood on Izuku's face and starts licking your lips, as Izuku asks Himiko why she's licking your lips, with Himiko saying, "I haven't had blood in a week. I'm starting to lose my mind a little because of it." Izuku then asks why she needs blood, with Himiko saying, "I don't know, but if I go too long without it, I start to get a little feral." Izuku says, "Oh, well, we don't want that, do we? Unless you have some of my blood. I have a regeneration quirk, so losing some blood shouldn't be too much of an issue." Himiko then asks, "Are you sure? I don't want to hurt you." Izuku says that it's fine, and that his healing factor should be able to replenish the lost blood rather quickly, unbuttoning his shirt and letting Himiko stick her fangs into his neck, as the girl takes as much blood as she needs that Izuku can safely give. Afterwards, Izuku gets his shirt buttoned back up and asks Himiko, "Do you have somewhere safe to stay?" Himiko then points to the box behind Izuku, saying that that's where she's currently staying. Izuku says, "Why don't I bring you to my house? I'm sure we can find room for you." Himiko then starts crying again at Izuku's kindness, leading to Izuku having to comfort her again. After some time, Izuku gets Himiko calmed down, as the pair make their way back to Izuku's house, with Jeff tackling Himiko as Himiko asks, "What is this thing?" Izuku saying, "Hi, Jeff." Himiko questions this, and Izuku says, "Jeff is my dog." Himiko points out that he looks more like a shark than a dog, but Izuku says that Jeff is both a shark and a dog, and that he's a dog with a shark quirk. Izuku greets his mother as Inko asks, "Who's your friend there, Izuku?" pointing to the girl who's hanging on Izuku like a lost puppy. Izuku says, "Mom, this is Himiko. I saved her from some thugs." Inko asks how that happened as Himiko says, "I was starting to lose it when 3 drunk men entered my room, and I started to panic. Then Zuzu found me, and he beat one of them with a lead pipe, causing the other 2 to run. And once they were gone, he fed me, and he brought me here." Inko asks how the drunk men entered her room, as Izuku reveals that her room was a back alley on his way home from school, and that her bed is an old refrigerator box. Wade then arrives and asks, "So, she was homeless?" Inko then says only for the last couple weeks. Izuku asks his dad if she can stay with them, with Wade saying that she'll need clean clothes and a place to sleep. Although Izuku says that he doesn't mind giving up his bed, Himiko says, "Well, we'll have to figure out a bed situation for Himiko, and we can probably get her enrolled at your school, Izuku." Himiko then asks if that means she can stay, because eating day-old burgers out of that dumpster was starting to make her sick. Wade says yes to Himiko's question, and then says that they should try and get those day-old burgers out of her system if they are making her sick. Himiko then asks if they have a bathroom, before ending drinking an entire gallon wasn't a great idea. Inko then asks, "A gallon of what?" Izuku then reveals that it was a gallon of his blood, as Inko is horrified until Izuku explains that it's due to her quirk, adding that his healing factor was able to replenish the lost blood rather quickly. Wade then shows Himiko the bathroom as he pulls out his laptop afterwards, ordering Himiko a bed, as Inko says to her husband, "When she gets out of the bathroom, I'm going to take her to buy some clothes. Can you handle dinner tonight?" As Wade says, "That sounds good. Izuku, I'm making chimichangas." And then we can clean out that extra room I'm using for weapon storage to give Himiko a bedroom. After dinner, Izuku and Wade head into Wade's weapon storage room, and Izuku says, "Dad, This room is gonna take all night to clean up. But Wade reassures his son that they just have to rip this wallpaper off. Doing so, as it erases the mess in an instant. A few days pass, as Inko and Wade have managed to get Himiko enrolled at Aldera Junior High, with Wade making sure that she was put in the same class as Izuku. Himiko puts on her uniform, and instead of doing her normal hairstyle, she instead decides to try something new, by putting her hair in pigtails instead, with the Wilson trio making notice of that, as Inko decides to ask Himiko why she changed up her hairstyle, with Himiko saying, "My old one reminds me of some people I would rather forget." Wade says that makes sense, while Izuku says that he thinks the new look suits her. Although before Izuku and Himiko can leave for school, Inko goes in Himiko's room and notices her garters are missing, saying, "Your garters are in your room, Himiko. You can't bring weapons to school." As Himiko lifts her skirt to remove her garters, lifting it higher than necessary just to tease Izuku a bit. And Izuku is just red in the face before the pair head off to school. Halfway to middle school, the pair run into Bakugo, as he asks, "Who's the stray?" Izuku introduces Himiko to Bakugo, saying that he saved her last week, as the trio then notice a little kid running to the street after his ball, as a taco truck is about to run said kid over, with Izuku jumping in without thinking, similar to the way he did in canon when Bakugo was taken hostage by the Sludge villain, pushing the kid out of the way and causing Izuku to get hit by the taco truck instead. Bakugo and Himiko are horrified to see that, as Himiko asks, "Zuzu, are you okay?" with Izuku giving a thumbs up and saying he's okay. Afterwards, the trio end up getting free "please don't sue me" breakfast burritos from the driver of the taco truck. From here, we skip 2 years, to about right before episode 1, and Izuku decides to ask his dad a rather important question, saying, "Dad, how do I know if a girl likes me?" Wade then said, "His son, you can kind of figure out that Himiko likes you by now. You're either blind or oblivious." There was another word that I could have used instead of oblivious, but that would have gotten us demonetized. Izuku then asked his dad what he recommended taking Himiko to for their first date. As Wade says, "Well, for my first date with your mother, I went to an arcade." Izuku then says that they can get chimichangas to go to the arcade, and then go to the Blade Emporium, since Himiko loves her knives. Izuku asks his dad if he has any ideas of how he can finish the date, as Wade says that he should take her to get froyo, since it's something he did on his first date with Inko. Izuku thanks his dad for the advice, and decides to act on it the next day. The next day, on their way to meet up with Bakugo, Izuku decides to take Himiko back to the alley where they first met. Izuku slapping his hand against the wall and saying, "Want to hang out after school? Just the two of us?" Although before Izuku can say anything else, Himiko kisses him, saying that she'd love to, before adding, "You want your gum back, Zuzu?" As unbeknownst to the pair, this kiss was witnessed by Bakugo, as he says, "Just don't let the horny vampire get in your way of being a hero." After school, Izuku and Himiko say goodbye to Bakugo, as they head off on their date. Since Bakugo knows if he interferes with his date, Inko and Mitsuki will kill him, along with Jeff and Loki biting his hands. After some time, Izuku and Himiko arrive at a taco truck that ran Izuku over a couple years back, as the owner asks, "How did you walk away from getting hit by my truck?" But Izuku says, "You know the number 13 hero? The undying hero? Deadpool? He's my dad." The taco truck owner says in that case, their food's on the house, as he doesn't want to get on Deadpool's bad side. Himiko then adds, "My bio parents got on his bad side because of what they did to me, and they fled the country right before he was about to find them. Something about feeding my dad his own testicles making my mom watch." Afterwards, the owner is horrified to hear that and solidifies his decision for Izuku and Himiko's food being on the house, giving Izuku an al pastor chimichanga, while Himiko gets a carne asada chimichanga. After enjoying their chimichangas, the pair head off to their next stop, the arcade, and decide to play skee-ball. After their game and collecting their tickets, they take them up to the prize counter and trade them in for a limited edition All Might teddy bear and a pencil eraser, with the prize guy saying, "You have a limited edition All Might teddy bear and the power to erase stuff," written in pencil. Afterwards, Izuku gives Himiko the teddy bear before they leave the arcade and head to the next stop, the Blade Emporium, since Himiko does love her knives, with Himiko spotting a pair of garters with 6 knife holsters. As she asks, "Zuzu, can we get these garters? They can hold up to 6 knives." Izuku doesn't see why not, adding that the stockings are just a bonus. Izuku also letting Himiko pick out 6 knives to go with her new garters. Afterwards, the pair go to get froyo to finish off their date, with Himiko getting pomegranate with chocolate sprinkles, while Izuku gets maple with bacon bits. As afterwards, Izuku and Himiko head home. Izuku pins Himiko against the wall, and the pair start making out. As Wade walks in on this as he's getting home, saying, "Make sure to use protection. Your mother would kill me if she became a grandma before you became an adult." The next day, Izuku, Himiko, and Bakugo are walking to school as they witness a giant villain causing trouble on the road to the Tatooine station. He stole someone's bag and went out of control when he began to rampage. Because of this, numerous citizens, including our trio, begin to approach and gather to see the heroes in action. From here, events can kinda line back up with canon for a bit, as Convoy Woods is about to stop the villain in his lacquered chain prison attack. But Mount Lady comes in and finishes off the villain with her king and cannon, completely taking all the credit for Convoy Woods' victory, as Himiko is rather upset about Mount Lady's ass being in Izuku's face, saying, "The only ass that should be in Zuzu's face is mine!" Bakugo then says, "Ew! Get a room, you two!" Himiko then pouts, "I wish." Izuku then says, "I wonder when you'll get a girlfriend of your own, Kachan." Himiko then says, "Or boyfriend." As Bakugo is just red in the face and royally pissed off as he says, "Woman, will you quit pushing my buttons?" School is rather uneventful since, due to Izuku actually having a quirk, he wouldn't get made fun of for trying to get into UA. Izuku, Bakugo, and Himiko are heading home from school and head to a 7-Eleven and decide to get some food on their way home, as they also see a man who looks like a walking skeleton doing some shopping as well, with Himiko paying for it all, using the credit card she swiped from Wade's wallet that morning. As during this, a villain made entirely of sludge ends up attacking and tries to get away, as Izuku, Bakugo, and Himiko see the skeletal man run out of the 7-Eleven into a nearby alley as he transforms to a rather familiar figure, All Might, starring the canon Sludge villain chase, as the trio are completely starstruck at seeing the real All Might in the flesh, as he heads off to chase the Sludge villain. After some time, the trio decide to head to the closest police station for a possible chance of meeting the symbol of peace. After some time, All Might arrives at the police station to drop off the Sludge villain, as he's our trio waiting for him, as he's shocked to see the 3 there who witnessed him transform, asking why they're here, as Himiko says, "Zuzu and I have a bit of a bad habit of hanging out in alleys." Izuku then adds that they saw something that they probably shouldn't have, as Bakugo adds that he tagged along. All Might takes it and says, "Shit." Afterwards, All Might transforms back into his skinny form, coughing up some blood, as Bakugo asks in a rather concerned voice, "You good, All Might?" While Himiko says, "Yay, blood!" All Might explains that him coughing up blood like that is due to an injury from a villain attack 5 years ago, as Himiko says, Zuzu ended up getting some rather nasty injuries himself, and walked away without a scratch. Izuku says that he's kinda stopped noticing when he gets hurt at this point, since it isn't like the injury will last. All Might asks how that happened, and Izuku says he's broken every bone in his body at least twice, but has never been to the hospital beyond a basic checkup since he was 4, including walking away from getting hit by a car 3 times. Bakugo then says that one of the times was by a taco truck, and Izuku says, "I saved the kid and got free breakfast. The little guy would have been pasted on the road if I didn't grab him." Himiko then says that when they first met, Izuku saved her from 3 drunk guys by giving one of them a lead pipe to the face. And Izuku says, That was the day I learned the cap on how much blood I can lose before I start stumbling and getting dizzy. But that was after she drank a gallon of my blood. All Might asked why Himiko needed to drink blood. Izuku explained it's due to how her quirk works. Afterwards, All Might says that after hearing the tales of Izuku's heroism, decides to make Izuku his successor, and offers to train him for the power of One for All. 6 months pass. Izuku's currently on a run with Jeff on a leash, while also carrying a safe, while All Might is on a Segway. As he asks, Izuku, who's your little friend there? Izuku then says, his name is Jeff, and he's my dog. All Might says that he looks more like a shark than a dog. Izuku reveals that Jeff is a golden retriever with a shark quirk. All Might then says, so he's an animal who manifests a quirk? I should call Nezu and let him know about this. Bako adds that Nezu probably wanted to meet Loki as well, as All Might asks who Loki is, with Bako explained that he's his pet gator with an intelligence quirk, before adding that his mom thinks Loki may be smarter than him. All Might then says that he's sure Nezu wanted to meet Loki. 2 months pass, as Izuku and Bako are standing on top of a pile of trash, screaming at the top of their lungs, as All Might arrives with the pair in the middle of a high five, with All Might congratulating the two boys on managing to clean the beach earlier than originally planned, and is about to give Izuku One for All like canon by plucking a hair from his head, but before he's able to, a villain begins attacking, as All Might goes to deal with that, forgetting about giving Izuku One for All for the time. From here, we skip to the night before the UA entrance exam, as the Wilsons and Bakos are about to have dinner to celebrate the upcoming entrance exam, as they hear the doorbell ring, as Inko says, Katsuki, can you get the door? Bako then opens the door to find All Might in his skinny form, along with a small, stout creature who looks to be a combination of a few various different animals, including a dog, bear, and mouse. As Jeff ends up getting rather excited at the new visitors, running under Bakugo's feet and tackling Nezu, and bringing him to the table to wait in Izuku, while Bakugo slams into All Might, with All Might being shot and coughing up blood, as Himiko manages to catch the blood All Might coughs up in a cup. As All Might asks, Himiko? What exactly do you plan on doing with that blood? With Himiko explaining, you said you're gonna give your quirk to Zuzu, and it requires him to consume your DNA, so I'm gonna make him drink this. All Might then gets back up, for asking if Bakugo is alright, as Bakugo then says that he is, revealing that Jeff is easily excited and that he tends to get underfoot. After seeing what Jeff brought to the table, Izuku says, Jeff, Mom's saying you can't bring any more dead animals in the house. Nezu then reveals that he isn't dead, with Wade saying, whew, that's a relief. So, what brings you and your skinny friend into our home? Nezu says that All Might told him about a bunch of animals who managed to manifest quirks, and that he wished to meet them in person, with Wade saying, it was just a job a few years back. Some mad scientist was experimenting on a warehouse full of animals with quirks, and I thought it would be hilarious to let them out and see what they did to him. Bastard got eaten alive in seconds. He should have worn his brown pants. Nezu then asks why brown pants, as Wade explains that he knows from experience that you shit yourself when you die. Afterwards, Himiko says to Izuku, here, Zuzu, I went ahead and got you a drink. Just don't ask what's in it. Izuku decides to drink it as Himiko starts chanting, chug, 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 as everyone except Himiko, All Might, and Bakugo think that there's beer in that cup. And unbeknownst to Izuku, due to All Might giving the okay, this passes on One for All to Izuku, with Nezu asking, Deadpool, please tell me there isn't beer in that cup. Wade explains that while he's thought about it, he knows Ingo would try to kill him if he did, with Nezu inquiring about that, as Wade says that he's had 4 kinds of cancer for a decade, and the only thing it's done is make him ugly and crazy. As Inko says, most people throw up the first time when they see him with his mask off, to where he uses an intimidation interrogation tactic. The next day, Izuku, Himiko, and Bakugo head off to UA High School, to begin their entrance exam, and Izuku and Himiko were holding hands. And Bakugo, due to not being used to seeing Izuku and Himiko as a couple yet, ends up not watching where he's going and trips on his feet. Although he's stopped by a girl with brown hair who also apparently has gravity powers. As the girl asks, "Are you okay?" As Bakugo is in complete shock that someone saved him, with Izuku explaining, "It's been a decade since someone saved him. Give him a minute to process." Izuku's talk with Ochako plays out like canon, just that Izuku's more confident during it, and then Bakugo and Himiko are present, and the orientation goes as canon. On their way to the practical exam, Izuku pulls out his Desert Eagles and loads all the bullets he brought into them. As the blue-haired boy from orientation asks, "Why do you have those?" Izuku explains, "My quirk primarily accelerates my own healing to where death is optional, meaning I need an external way to deal damage. And since my dad has the same quirk, he taught me his solution." The blue-haired boy sees as sound logic, as a girl with pink hair and skin asks, "What do you mean death is optional?" With Izuku saying, "I've walked off getting hit by a car 3 times. Do with that information what you will." After some time, everyone arrives at their exam sites, but Izuku makes sure he's got everything ready to go, making sure to cock his pistols before heading into the exams. After being told to do so at present mic, Izuku says to the robots, "I only have 12 bullets, so you're gonna have to share." The blue-haired boy then asks, "How do you share bullets?" As the pink-haired girl says, "I don't think we want to know, but we're about to find out." Izuku then says, "Let's count them down," before jumping up into the air and firing off a round, aiming for a 3-pointer and managing to damage the bot, before using his other pistol to fire another round, gunning down the 3-pointer. Izuku knows he's got 10 bullets left, before heading further into the mock city, trying to find some other robots to destroy for points. Finding another 3-pointer, Izuku tries firing a round into it, but he misses and hits a 2-pointer. As he fires another round at it, instead hits another 2-pointer, and is about to fire another round, but it hits another 2-pointer. Izuku then finally hits the 3-pointer he was aiming at earlier, knowing that now he only has 7 bullets left. Izuku heads further into the city, and he sees another 3-pointer, and decides to try chasing it down so he can get more points, managing to gun it down, letting Izuku score another 3 points. Izuku then sees 2 1-pointers and a 2-pointer. Izuku holds one of his pistols sideways, firing a shot, as the bullet manages to go through the armor of all 3 robots. Afterwards, Izuku scours the city and finds 4 more 3-pointers before using the last of his ammo to gun them down, managing to score a total of 28 points from all the robots. We transition over to Himiko, as she pulls out a pair of her knives and charges right at the robots, as the scene goes rather similarly to the hall fight scene from the Daredevil Netflix series, with Himiko stabbing 14 1-pointers and 10 2-pointers, getting herself 34 combat points. After watching all the exams unfold, Nezu then says, "It's time to bring out the big guns." All Might then asks Nezu why he's looking at that giant red button with murderous intent, as Nezu says, "It's playtime." Nezu then presses the giant red button and releases the 0-pointers into the mock city. Over with Bakugo, he sees the 0-pointer and decides to avoid it, knowing it's not worth any points. But he hears a scream of pain as he notices the brown-haired girl from earlier, as he uses the explosions to rock it up, before using the explosions to propel himself in a circular motion to create a tornado. The ensuing twister collects oxygen and momentum to fuel the subsequent explosion, as Bakugo yells out, "Howitzer Impact!" as the 0-pointer is hit by the explosive tornado, causing it to explode and catch fire. But due to this being Bakugo's first aerial attack, he hasn't quite figured out how to land yet, which leads to the brown-haired girl from earlier using her quirk again by slacking him on the ass. The brown-haired girl then releases her quirk, which lets Bakugo land safely, as Bakugo asks, "Hey Hey Peaches, you okay? But before the girl can answer, she pukes rainbows due to overusing her quirk. Over with Himiko, she sees the zero pointer and initially decides to avoid it, looking to score more points. As she sees a short boy with grapes for hair on the ground clutching his ankle right in the warpath of the zero pointer, with Himiko saying to herself that she should probably save this guy, as she heads towards the zero pointer and starts climbing it like a cat, before trying to carve it like a turkey. During this time, the boy that Himiko is trying to save gets a rather nice view of Himiko's skirt, but before he can comment on it, he's scolded on it by a girl with long orange hair tied into a side ponytail on the left side of her head. During this scolding, Himiko ends up pulling out wires from the zero pointer, and half a second later, by sheer dumb luck, Himiko manages to pull out the wires, causing the bot to move as it topples over into a building. Over with Izuku, he comes upon a sight similar to Ochako's canon position, only it's Mina instead, and due to his borderline immortal levels of healing, he acts without thinking and leaps up to the 0-point robot, breaking his legs in the process and punched it full force in the face, breaking his right arm, causing the headless robot to fall down to earth, while Izuku uses his last functional limb to catch his fall. Izuku barely manages to stand and asks Mina, "Are you okay?" As Mina asks, "Am I okay? I can see multiple of your bones!" Ida then approaches and says, "You're bleeding!" But Izuku says to the blue-haired boy, "It's just a flesh wound." Ida is horrified to hear this, saying, "A flesh wound? There's multiple bones sticking out of you!" Izuku then says that he's had worse. Just then, Himiko arrives and hugs Izuku from behind, and starts licking the blood and sweat off him, as Ida says, "That is incredibly unprofessional," with Mina asking, "So, who's this?" Izuku tells his fellow examinees, "This is my girlfriend, Himiko." Afterwards, a week passes, as Izuku and Himiko are making it on a couch at the Wilson apartment, with the pair being spotted by Bakugo, who came over after getting his acceptance letter from UA, with Bakugo saying, "Ugh, get a room, you two." Afterwards, Inko then comes in, following the atomic blonde inside, as she says that Izuku and Himiko got their letters, and sees what Izuku and Himiko are doing and says, "I'm too young to be a grandma." Afterwards, Himiko hands Izuku and Himiko their letters, with the trio deciding to open them at the same time. And that's where we'll leave this timeline off for right now. So, what you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And with that said, I'll get on out of here. Peace!